Monster Game Night is a dark comedy actual play podcast that explores personal and political horror. This show is not appropriate for children, and adults can find content warnings in our episode descriptions. Welcome to our Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle, Bluegrass by Night, where our coterie of ambitious vampires fights to carve out their turf in a fictional Appalachia dominated by ancient monsters. Coming to you tonight from the Bluegrass Horse Park and Campground Community Center, it's Clear Visions, sponsored by Crafter's Crest Distillery. Now, here's your host, TV's favorite medium, Clear Visions.
Stage is empty, and then Teresa flies in, lands on the couch, wings spread, brings them down, and then almost bows her head as Clear Visions walks in from the opposite side, waving gently to the audience. Hello, welcome to Clear Visions. As you all know, I'm Clear Visions, and it is a pleasure to be with you. Now, we're going to have a few guests tonight to talk about some of the finer things in life, see if they can get some advice, see what's really rattling them bones. So, our first guest.
You all hear Gordon's voice come over your earpieces.
I see a group of protesters sneaking in, so keep an eye out.
And our first guest is...
Our first guest tonight is a young man from Greenville, Bubba Pardue, who's hoping to get some guidance on what he should do with his life.
A young man, shaved head, copious amounts of body hair sprouting from beneath his wife-beater t-shirt, covered with a pair of soft denim coveralls, seems to be pushed forward onto the stage.
Hey, you gap-toothed idiot, they said your name. Get the fuck out there.
The man stumbles forward, seemingly shell-shocked by the eruption of snapping and awe from the audience, lights blazing into his eyes.
Oh wow, this is amazing.
Hello, welcome, Bubba Pardue.
Well, thank you for getting my name right. I appreciate it. Yes, Bubba Pardue. Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Visions.
Pleasure's all mine. So tell me, Bubba, what's going on? What do you want questions about?
Well, I gotta be honest with you, sir. I've been a fan of yours for a long time, and I know how you make sure that people try to live up to their potential. And I gotta be honest with you, I don't think I'm living up my potential. You know, everybody always tells me that I should be looking out better for myself. I was just hoping you might be able to help me a little bit.
Well, Bubba, I'm sorry to hear that. If you could just join me up next to here, I'm going to have you cut this deck of Clear Visions limited edition tarot cards. You can buy them now at our shop.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir, but can you explain what you mean by cutting that?
Okay, if you just want to take some of these, put them on the bottom, put them on top, mix around however you want, and then really think about your spiritual journey while you're doing that.
That's a lot of pressure.
He starts sorting the cards around. He accidentally drops like half of them on the floor.
Oh, well, hold on. I'll pick those up. Just hold on a second. Okay, there you go. Now let me try that again. All right, did I do that right?
That's perfect, Bubba. Okay, now, this ritual won't work if I touch the cards, so if you'll lay 3 of them out face down for me.
Should I?
We're going to keep your essence in that special deck.
Okay, should I do this with my eyes open or closed?
However you want to do it, Bubba, just hurry up. We have a time limit.
Sorry.
Jason, where are you right now?
I think that I'm the one that's actually behind the soundboard. Looking almost bored.
Okay, all right.
Well, I can't do anything about it. I'm stuck back here babysitting all these people. One of you two is going to have to handle it. Hurry up.
I'll move towards the back of the audience.
All right. I think that's 3. Did I do it right?
Thanks, Bubba. You did great. Okay, are you ready? I'm going to tell you 3 special things about your future.
Okay.
Okay. Now this first one here, and I flip up the first card. This is Judgment. It's right side facing up. You see that little guy with the wings and the shield? That's a good one. Okay, this...
Are you sure about that?
Yes, sir. This means you're going to be liberated from the mundane. I think you're already doing that being here, buddy.
Can you help? I don't know what mundane means.
It doesn't matter. Good news. You're also going to have some deep emotional feelings. I think we're feeling that here as well, okay?
Wait, what?
That's what this second card, the King of Cups, means.
The King of Cups.
Yes, sir. You could almost call this the Moonshine King, am I right?
I know a little bit about that, yeah.
The crowd gives this soft chuckle.
And this third card, flip it up. This is the Nine of Cups. It's also upright. You really got lucky here. None of them are reversed. That could have been real bad for you.
Oh, thank goodness.
Okay, are you ready for it? This one means you're currently waiting for someone to share your happiness with. So I need you to not focus on your career. Don't focus on your job. Money is not where it's at. However, you are going to find your soulmate.
Oh, wow. Oh, you don't know how long I've been waiting to hear something like that.
Well, thank you, Bubba. I think you're going to have some real good fortune here soon.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Clear.
Bubba's last few lines are cut off by the crowd beginning to snap loudly, and you hear cat calls and wolf whistles for Bubba.
Which way should I go?
Okay, Bubba, exit stage right.
Is that the same as my normal right?
Teresa? And she'll, swing her wings to, sort of bat him in one direction.
Okay, pretty bird. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Who do we have up next?
Our next guest is Max Creed.
We see a burly man with a heavily tattooed neck and arms, sleeves extending all the way from his shoulder to his wrist, wearing a leather vest, worn open, a heavily tattooed and muscled chest beneath it, chains abounding all about him. Steps forward, we can hear the soft chiming of chains, keeping time with his steps. Steps onto the stage, looks out into the dazzling lights, collects himself, a calm, confident, and collected man.
Welcome, Max Creed. How are you doing this evening?
Well, hello, Claire. It's nice to meet you. I've been watching your show, find it interesting.
Thank you. Always good to hear a fan. So, what's your issue? What's going on?
Well, I haven't always lived the best, easiest life, and I recently lost my best friend, and he was always the one that brought me the most joy in life and made it just a little bit easier. And I was hoping you could tell me if he's, passed on nice and he's happy.
Well, Max, I'm sorry to hear for your loss. My condolences to your friend. If you could join me on the stage, I have this crushed black velvet bag here. Limited edition Clear Visions brand bone reading bag. Available for purchase, only $15.99. If you would just shake this up, and I'll let you know a little secret. Teresa used to have a mate here. His name was Tiresias. These are his bones. We're going to read them today.
Well, that sounds easy enough.
Okay, put one hand on the bag, and then I ghost him and put my hands around his hands, and then shake him together.
There's a soft rattling of bones. We see the audience scooch forward on their seats, engaged in this bit of spectacle occurring before them.
Okay, now Max, on the count of 3, pour these out over this small table that we have here.
There's a soft clattering sound as the bones fall and tumble across themselves.
Now, Max, all of these bones here, they all represent different parts of the body as well as different spiritual meanings. Now, if we can see here, this large bone, you notice they're all color coordinated. This one here is the man bone. It's white. It's also laying directly across the bone of opportunity, but it's laying next to the bone of loss. Does that sound right to you, Max?
That sounds right about it.
Now that you have the bone of loss next to the bone of man, you see that they're just touching a little. Do you wish that this connection would have been deeper with your friend who was lost?
Oh, he was always right there to greet me at the door every time I came home.
Huh. That sounds like quite a special relationship. I do have another probing question, though. The bone of love isn't anywhere near these three. What's up with that?
I was hoping you could tell me.
Ah, a man of my own kind, flipping that question back on me. Okay.
The audience, you can see now, has pulled themselves back from the edge of their chairs, agape that somebody would question the immortal, the all-knowing gaze of Clear Visions.
Well, if you'll give me 1 sec, and he'll take his hand and stretch it straight out over the bones, close his eyes, softly touch all of them. He'll move them ever so slightly. Now, spirits, answer my prayers. Oh, and they did. Perfect. The spirit bone moved to this love bone, and it pushed them ever so slightly together. So I think what that really means is, now that your friend is with the spirit, he loves you ever so much, and you can just have that closure that you're looking for. Perfect. No further questions. Is that good for you?
He's happy.
Of course. Why wouldn't he be?
Oh, I'm just so glad to hear that, because my Mr. Fluffles.
You heard it here first. I knew it was a dog all along. Thanks, Max. And I'll usher him off the stage.
Hannah's voice comes over Tommaso's microphone. Hi, Mr. Bianchi, would you mind escorting Max off the stage? He doesn't seem really willing to move, and I think the audience is getting bored of watching him cry.
I'm not supposed to
He
be
moves
on.
in to try to hug Clear Visions.
Okay, fine. I'm not supposed to be on, but this is bad. Okay.
We're
well,
not supposed to touch Mr. Visions.
I give him a light embrace, and then I look at the crowd, and I just give him like a knowing nod. Like,
And Tommaso crosses the stage very quickly, making sure not to look in the camera's direction. And he reaches over. All right, Jack, let's go. Let's move it quick if you know what's good for you. Come on.
Max Creed is nearly as large as Tommaso, but he's in a bit of emotional distress right now, and he accompanies Tommaso willingly, though he does slump onto his shoulder and kind of cry into his suit jacket a little bit.
now, Max, before you go, let me just, and I'll dab his tears with my monogrammed handkerchief. And that one's for you. You can keep that, my good buddy.
Oh, thank you.
Actually, I'm going to need that back once we get off stage. And I drag him off.
Max Creed leaves the stage. A few moments pass as Clear Visions recenters himself from so much spiritual energy being outpoured.
Now, how's everybody doing? I gotta say, that last one took a lot out of me. Reaching out from the spirit world, they physically moved me. Now I'm just, let's get to another guest. Let's keep this ball rolling.
Our next guest is Anette, a young woman that wants to make peace with her grandmother.
A young woman of her mid-20s with a very confident air about her, dressed in a nice cream-colored pantsuit, walking confidently towards Mr. Clear Visions. I cross the stage totally unsupported. I don't need anyone to push me, and I rebuff any effort to help me.
Well, fine, be that way. Jeez.
Annette gives a soft wink over her shoulder in the direction of Mr. Bianchi.
Ugh.
Now, Mr. Visions, it is my dearest pleasure to meet you.
Hello, Annette. It's great to have you on the show. And I'll reach down and kiss her hand.
Oh, that's real kind of you. May I listen? These heels, they take some doing to put this. May we have a seat together?
Yes, of course. You can join me on the couch.
Annette leads the way over to the crushed purple velvet couch.
Okay, you said your feet were hurting, but make sure you keep those puppies on. We're not giving that away plus we're paying a lot more for this content. Winks at the camera.
You are such a joker, Mr. Visions. It's always been your way, hasn't it?
I think so. So, Annette, tell me about your grandmother.
Well, there's a lot to tell. You see, my grandmother and my grandfather, they were so close. My grandfather, he was a hard-working man, made his fortunes working hours and hours of back-breaking labor in the coal mines. And then, well, he got the black lung and he passed away, and there was a Vortex Industries paid out a large settlement to his wife. It was supposed to cover all of us, all the young, all the children of his, put all of us through college. But then my grandmother, in her grief, she wanted more. So she went out, she got into gambling, betting on horses. And one day, she decided that she'd consult a medium about what horse she should bet on. She asked him, followed his advice, and she lost everything. She lost her house, She lost all of my college savings. And you know what happened after that, Mr. Visions?
Now, Annette, it sounds like she probably died. Am I getting to that point?
We came home to find my grandmama's Buick parked in the garage with a hose taped to the exhaust, run in through the passenger side window. That woman, in her shame, killed herself.
Now that's horrible. I'm very sorry. But you did mention black lung, correct?
That's my grandpappy died of that black lung, and so I'm here to ask you.
Oh, perfect. Black lung. That gets us to black tea, one of my favorites. And we're going to do a tasseomancy reading this evening. And you can buy a Clear Visions branded black tea dispenser on our online shop. How does that sound, Annette?
Well, I don't have any money on account of my grandmama lost all of it.
The show will get you a discount code, and I wink at her.
She does not return the wink.
Now, that sounds really horrible about your grandma, but why don't you just drink some of this tea and we'll do a proper reading?
Well, I'm hoping that you might be able to put me in touch with either my grandmommy or maybe the medium who seems to have been so wrong about her.
I have a special connection with the spirits. I can see through the veil, and in fact, they're going to read through the tea leaves. Okay? You clearly have a very intimate connection with your grandmother. So you think of her, you think of all the love, and you think of all the joy that she brought you while you drink this. Leave just a sip at the end, and we'll find out what her replies are and what she's thinking.
Annette takes the white mug of black tea, cups it in front of her, and gazes into it for a second, tips it to the side, and dumps it onto the stage. She says, "Now that tea mug's empty. I think you know where that's coming from. I don't think you need to ask any spirits about that. Do you?"
Now, Annette, that's a very unorthodox way of reading these tea leaves. But if you'll just join me on the ground right here, and I'll kneel and I'll take one knee over by where she dumped it out. Now, if you'll see, that looks like these leaves ended up in the shape of a knife. Do you know what that symbolizes?
The way that my heart has been cut out from the loss of my grandmommy?
Actually, no. Not even close. You know, that's why I'm TV's most famous medium, because I do know that having this knife here means we're going to cut straight to the truth. How about that, Annette?
Annette is staring daggers into Clear Vision's eyes right now.
Next to that knife, do you see this small sort of ribbed shape? It almost looks like an umbrella. Do you see that? It's upside down.
I suppose that a medium who's stretching for answers and scrambling for time might look at that shape and call it an upside-down umbrella.
That's exactly right. It's an upside-down umbrella. This also means annoyance, which is what you're going to be. Thanks for your time.
With that, Tommaso walks out on the stage again, once again shielding his face. He walks right up to Annette. He places a hand around her back, drops a small knife into his hand, presses it against her back, and says, "Get moving now if you know what's good for you."
She kind of shoulders at you. "Take your hands off me."
"No, I won't. And you're not going to like what happens if you don't get moving. Trust me on this."
Cut the lights, go to commercial.
And we'll be back with the Clear Visions television show.
"I'm so sorry, Mr. Visions. I had no idea that she was in the crowd."
I'll look right at the crowd and I'll say, "How's everybody doing? They can't all be perfect, can they?"
The crowd is agape at what they've just seen. Somebody challenged the great Clear Visions.
Now, you know, actually, we'll save this for the camera, but I just want to make sure that you're all doing okay, and we had the situation under control the whole time, okay? Now, as we know, not everyone loves every answer to the things that the spirits guide us, but I wouldn't be who I was if I didn't tell the whole truth every time. All I am is a conduit for how every spirit flows through me. And some people, they just can't handle that, but that is okay. They will move on. We will move on with our next guest.
Our final guest tonight is a man looking to reconnect with his best friend, Lukas Thorne.
A tall, broad-shouldered man, clearly fit in his youth, gone slightly to seed as the ravages of time have taken their toll, steps out from behind the curtains behind the Clear Visions set. We see a man wearing a camouflage surplus Vietnam jacket. His hair is long and tied back in a knot. We see a red headband across his forehead. His jeans are torn denim, and on his feet we see black polished boots. There's a hint of a flash of jewelry along his neckline. He's wearing a vest, worn open though it seems to conceal anything that might be beneath it.
Hello, Lukas. Welcome to Clear Visions. How are you doing this evening?
Well, good evening, Mr. Visions. I have to say it's a pleasure to be in your presence.
Thank you. Pleasure's all mine. So, what's going on, buddy?
Well, I've struggled for a long time with the loss of my friend. I was hoping you might be able to help reconnect me with him.
Of course. That's what Clear Visions is all about. Reconnecting old friends and also making new families. So tell us, who's your friend?
His name is Jeff.
Jeff. Okay. Jeff. And what's Jeff's birthday?
He was born September 1st, 1950.
Interesting. And what about yours?
June 6th of 1952.
That's very interesting. Now, it's always cool to see a Gemini and a Virgo together. How did you guys meet?
We met very early on in our basic training. It was kind of a night like this one, and I'm curious about something. I've heard that divining things sometimes works better when you're in the opposite, and I noticed that you never record your episodes during the day.
Well, that's a great question, and it actually goes to the point of what we're doing tonight. We're going to be using our sun signs that are reflected in the night sky's constellations. I feel a great connection to those at night. So I'm at my most spiritually divine and opened, and I can open my third eye during the nighttime.
I can
I'd be
believe that.
severely hampered during the day, wouldn't you say?
Yes, that seems to track.
So you said you're looking for your friend? How'd you lose him?
That's the thing. He actually drowned. We were trying to wade across a river, got caught in enemy fire, and he got swept away by the current. It's a real shame.
I'm very sorry to hear that. If you could tell your friend one thing, what would you say to him?
I would say, just like Mr. Visions seems to do, try to stay away from the water.
Now, that is good advice that he probably would have loved to have while you were spending your time with him. Why didn't you tell him that during your time together? I know that he had, and I can hear his voice. Yes, he's telling me that he had severe trust in you. I believe the words were, "That guy was like my brother."
Excellent. That's great. Yes, well, he definitely viewed me and many of his friends as brothers. In fact, he spent a lot of time preaching to us and talking to us about the faith. And I'd like to ask you something, Mr. Visions. And Lukas reaches up and starts opening his coat. Are you, sir, a man of faith? And he's wearing a gigantic wooden cross on a chain.
Clear Visions feels the power of this cross emanating forth. He feels himself pushed backwards as a religious symbol wielded with the power of true faith is faced towards him.
I think for the first time during this recording, his eye actually twitches and he looks away briefly and then looks back. And he's going to spend one willpower to push through. But
Teresa's head twitches and faces directly towards Mr. Thorne.
now, Lukas, I am a man of faith as well. I have lots of faith in myself. I have lots of faith in myself, which I promote in my book, Clear Visions, The Visions to Success. Promote your own mental well-being. You can find that on our shop as well. What do you think about that, Lukas? Would you be... Actually, hey, Tommy, can we get a copy of that for Lukas over here?
Sure thing, Mr. Visions. Just give me a second.
Even better, let's get one for the whole crowd.
Mr. Visions, I'm not sure that you have that many in the tour bus. What about the people in the hallway and outside?
I'll look right at the audience. How does that sound, everybody?
You hear snapping and soft expressions of excitement.
Now, Lukas, do you feel satisfied with
He
that?
leans in close, holds his hand out. I'm partially satisfied with that, but I might be making your acquaintance again sometime.
Thanks. And I do not take his hand. And with that, I think that we have wrapped up all of our readings for this evening. If you would like to get read, we're going to be going on our national tour as well. You can see those listed on our website. That's www.clearvisionstvsmostfamousmedium.com or bit.ly/you-know-the-rest.
We don't have a bit.ly to our listeners, but Clear Vision's television's most famous medium, we do own. The crowd rises to its feet, softly clapping. We see the form of Mr. Thorne being led away by the imposing Marco Bianchi off stage. We hear Hannah. We don't have that many books, Mr. Visions. Can I give them vouchers, gift cards? Will you pay shipping?
I'll give a slight wave to the audience as it wraps up, and as soon as we're clear, I walk directly off the set to Hannah.
Hannah is still standing there with her hand raised to her ear as she's speaking into her earpiece. Mr. Visions? I don't...
Okay, Hannah. Here's what we're going to do. Just get everyone's email address, and we're going to send them free ebooks. Doesn't cost us anything to put them out, okay?
I never thought about that, Mr. Visions.
Perfect. That way keeps our overhead down.
Okay.
Also, that Lukas guy, make sure he doesn't get one.
Tommaso's still gripping Lukas Thorne a little tightly as he leads him away. Looks over his shoulder, makes sure nobody's in earshot, leans over to him and says, "You think you're real cute, don't you? Coming in here with your little display, that cute little headband, having that thing around your neck. We know what you are. We know what you want to do. And if you know what's good for you, you're never going to be seen around these parts again. You catch me?" "Well, Mr. Bianchi, if I believe that's what I heard, I believe I've learned a few things tonight, and you may not hear from me, but you probably will be seeing me at some point. And you have yourself a good night, and maybe a few more to come."
Hey guys, we're Monster Game Night. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm Mike, your storyteller, and I am joined at the table by...
Josh playing Clear Visions.
Nick playing Jason.
I'm Russell, playing Gordon.
And Ben playing Tommaso. Tune in next week. We release an episode every Monday. Also, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcatcher. We'd also love to hear from you on social media. Find us on Twitter and Facebook at Monster Game Night. While you're there, please leave us a rating, write a review, and tell your friends and family about the show if you enjoyed it, because word of mouth is the best way for a small, independent podcast like ours to grow. Hope that you can come to our next
Monster Game Night.
We out.
Okay, we're recording now.
The audio engineer is the person who presses the record button. Congratulations.
I got promoted, people. Oh my God. I get no more salary. Yay.
We're going to double your salary.
Let's see, 2 times 0 is...
I think it makes our salary too high.
Ooh.
It's imaginary.
Live from Jamestown, welcome to the Clear Vision Show. Now welcome your host, Clear Visions.